And we're live. Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
I'm Paula from Fandom and Books.
I'm Christy from What Christy's Reading.
And I'm Brandy from I Ramble Randomly.
And we're here. Oh, no, I did that last time.
And we're here to talk about Made You Up by Francesca Zappia. But also, we will go off topic quite a lot because that's just the way that we roll.
That's the way we roll.
That's what we do. So, general thoughts on the book. Goodreads rating, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars.
I also gave it a 4 out of 5 stars.
And I did as well.
Unanimous blanket 4 out of 5 stars.
You're all on the same page where this book is concerned.
We liked it, but obviously we didn't like it that much.
Well, I liked it more than what I normally read. So it didn't blow my mind, though. I mean, 5 stars, it was an amazing book. 4 stars, it was a really good book. 3 stars, it was a good book.
Mm.
You know, that's kind of how I rate things.
Chris is in the live chat. So what did you rate the book, Christopher? Sorry. So yeah, the live chat is open, so feel free to ask questions, put your thoughts and feelings in the chat, and we will reply, obviously.
Hopefully. Give it a C. You can't give it a C. That's not the option.
It's a star rating, Chris. Well, I guess
6 out of 10 stars.
Yeah, well, if we're going by the C logic, C is average, so I'm guessing a 3-star rating. Would that be correct? Or are you just being a facetious person?
Still hung up on those red lobsters.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I give it 3 stars. Good. Okay.
So should we do a synopsis?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can do a synopsis.
Oh, can I?
Yeah.
Gosh. Okay, so this is the story of Alex. Alex is a senior in high school and suffers from paranoid schizophrenia, which she has been diagnosed of since she was, 10?
7.
7? Yeah, even younger. Where she saw red lobsters, which we all know lobsters aren't red until they've been cooked. Anyway, so she's starting at a new school after having been kicked out of her old one, and she is just trying to make it through her senior year and be a human being and not let her disorder rule her life. However, it's really hard when you have audio and visual hallucinations, and you don't ever know if what you're seeing or hearing is actually real. And yeah. That's basically it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Solid synopsis.
Thank you. I've been practicing.
Chris put in the chat spoilers.
What's that?
Yep. Chris put in the chat spoilers.
I didn't spoil anything, did I?
No, he's just being facetious, as per.
But we're gonna spoil it because everybody watching this video should have read the book. So
this is true.
I know who Kaiser Sose is.
Me too. My initial thoughts on the book, I think a lot of people are with me with the prologue with the lobsters being, the live lobsters in the tank being red was a complete throw for me because obviously live lobsters aren't red.
They're brown.
They're a yucky color.
Yeah.
They're not pretty looking. But as soon as the prologue was done and we actually got into the story, the entire feel of the book changed for me.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, it was coming from a younger narrator's voice because of her age, and but it just, I don't know if it really felt like the prologue had to be there.
Well, I mean, it did explain how she met Miles, and his name's Miles, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And it kind of explained how she was diagnosed and whatnot. So it was kind of necessary.
I think it was one of those where it was like, yeah, it kind of necessary, but also not.
I took the prologue to be, because in order to be diagnosed with schizophrenia, you have to have like one solid psychotic episode. And I think that's kind of what the prologue was supposed to be. This was her first episode. And so after that, they had to deal with it from that point on, I think. And so it introduced her illness, but it also introduced the future relationship with Miles and all that kind of stuff. So it's, yeah, I think it was important, but it also was kind of confusing when you're coming at it not really know, because I didn't know what the book was about going into it. So I was like, what is going on here? And then after the prologue was over, it made more sense.
Yeah.
I totally, for me, guys, you know me. I like to go into books blind. So I didn't know anything about this book, not a single thing, except for I assumed from the cover that it was going to be kind of sad, and it was a complete cover thing for me. I was attracted to the cover. I knew that I wanted to read it just because of the cover. That may sound lame and cheesy and trite, but that's really what draws me to books. So
we always say don't judge a book by its cover, but we all do it.
All do, yeah.
We all do it. I mean, even if we absolutely love the book, we can say, I absolutely love this book, but damn, I wish I'd changed the cover.
Oh yeah. Well, and there have been books that I have read because I've had to for one reason or another that I never would have read because the cover was ugly. And then I ended up loving it, and I'm like, I really should stop judging books by their cover, because on the same vein, I have read lots of books that have gorgeous covers where the book has been such a letdown, and I'm like, you know what, I wouldn't pick this up if I had known what it was about or whatever.
Chris says, without the prologue, it wouldn't have been a Destiny love story.
It's kind of true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And with Miles's difficulties, it might have been harder for him to let Alex into his life a little bit more if he didn't recognize her.
Well, yes, because I really kind of believe that Miles is, and I know it's alluded to that he might be doggone it, words, autistic.
Autistic,
yeah, on the spectrum. And I kind of got that feeling even before Alex's mom talked about it. I was like, he's definitely doesn't understand how to react appropriately in social situations. He's kind of textbook spectrum sounding, low spectrum, obviously, but.
I did really enjoy her writing, the way that she described things and explained things. I really did think it was a piece of beautiful writing.
Definitely.
There were definitely times throughout the book where she described something and it instantaneously like put me in that moment. It's like when she described Christmas later on. I was just like, I just got that, like, I could like smell the cinnamon smells and just like, feel all nice and warm and cozy. I was just like,
right.
This is a good bit of writing. I like this.
Yeah.
And she did that consistently throughout the book. I have to say, I did enjoy the writing, even though sometimes it was a little bit hard to follow because of having the unreliable narrator.
Right.
And not knowing what is real and what is not real.
Well, and that's the thing. This must have been an incredibly hard book to write, because you not only have to make the story engaging and sensical, but you also have to put in this stuff that Alex may or may not actually be seeing, and make it so that we don't know either whether or not this is real or not. Repetitive. And I think that takes a lot of extra special talent to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And throughout the book, I questioned pretty much everything. You know, is this really real? As I said to you, Paula, the other day, if another character in the book didn't acknowledge that it was happening, then I kind of assumed that it wasn't happening.
Yeah.
You know.
I noted that, like, you know, really early on that it must have been terrifying to have the schizophrenic episode at such a young age. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, if she doesn't know any different, is it really that scary? But just having to deal with it from such a young age, and the way that Alex kind of turned it on its head, and she kind of, like, you know, she was more optimistic about it as it came across through the writing, and she was just like, yeah, this is what I am, this is how I'm dealing with it. And she was very self-aware.
Yeah, I think having it manifest so young, she kind of doesn't really know what life is like without it. I know that that's kind of how Ron and Delaney see their neurological condition. It's like, well, that's just the way life is, so you just kind of deal with it. I don't know what it's like to not have this problem. However, you bring up, make me think of a point that I wanted to make in the video today. I read, you know, when I get about 3/4 of the way through a book, I will go and check out the Goodreads reviews. I won't read anything spoilery, but I like to get a feel about how people are feeling about the book. And I read a scathing review about this book. Like, it was ridiculously angry. And a lot of it had to do with the way that paranoid schizophrenia is being portrayed in this book. And apparently the reviewer, it was a student or worked in the field, and she said that it was completely inaccurate. And one of the points that she makes is that schizophrenia doesn't manifest in females until later in life, like late teens, early 20s. So somebody being 7, a girl being 7 and having this issue, it's just not something that happens. So you talk about how scary it would be, but apparently it doesn't happen in real life. So
yeah, but she was, by the same token, there's always the exception to the rule.
Of course. So yeah, and I don't know. I mean, she really was very angry about how inaccurate this was to real life, and I just kept thinking to myself, well, this is not real life. It's fiction. It's media. It's going to be sensationalized. That's just what they do. Otherwise, nobody would really want to read it. I mean, there are some real life stories, of course, that are very intriguing, but generally stuff like this, you've got to tweak it a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about it from the standpoint of, like, if you were to have this book and it was written by a real schizophrenic, could you actually follow what was happening?
Right. Well, she brought up,
like, this book brings up the questions of well, it brings to light paranoid schizophrenia, and it brings things to light, and it makes you think of questions that you wouldn't normally think about, because obviously, as a whole, the most people that read this book will have not been a part of this world or have these or been affected by these issues. So it's a gateway kind of thing. It's like it's opening up your world to these kind of things.
Right.
And I mean,
yeah, it brings awareness.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that it's the best thing for the job, and I'm not saying that. I mean, it is a piece of fiction, but if it gets a couple of people thinking about it, and then they go to do more research on the field that is obviously more factual based, it's like that's helping.
Right. Yeah.
When I was reading it, because I studied a bunch of this stuff like in school last year, and the one thing I like what you were talking about, Christy, was stuff that I noticed too. Like, I think you can show symptoms, but you can't be diagnosed until earlier on. So that is kind of how it was a little off. And I noticed that the book liked to focus on the visual hallucinations more so than the audio, even though the audio ones are the most common. And so a lot of it, like, I don't think the scathing review was like probably, I don't think I would go with the scathing review because they changed a lot of stuff, and I totally agree that it would be difficult to make a forward storyline if it was a disorganized thought pattern.
Right.
But the book did a really good job of like representing the isolation that a person would feel in that situation, and how important it is to have someone who understands you. Because poor Alex, her parents didn't get what was going, her dad a little bit more, but her mom didn't get what was going on with her at all, and she kept getting hurt because she didn't have the proper support.
Right.
And it wasn't until she met Alex, who kind of like, he obviously didn't know what she was going through, but he was able to support her in the way that she needed, that she didn't get better. And I like that the book didn't do that. Like, once you fall in love, your mental illness is gone.
It's gone. Magic.
But
all you need is a boy to fix it.
Yeah. But she finally got the supports that she needed to like be ready to deal with it in the proper way. And so, yeah, it's a problematic portrayal of it, but like you said, it did do a lot of good for representing the experience of something like that. Not like, and that's nothing I can talk to from specific experience, but just from an outside perspective, kind of looking at it, it seems like that would be a good thing that it did.
Yeah. Right. Well, and like Paula, sorry, go ahead.
Chris says in the chat, it's a quick Google finds a girl diagnosed at 6 years old. So diagnosis at 7, not unheard of.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Like I said, there are exceptions to the rule.
Well, and you know, like we said, you know, it brings awareness. I personally, and I would like to think that the general public would see it also. I'm not going to look at this and say, well, this is the Bible on paranoid schizophrenia. I'm only going to get my information from this. You know, I obviously know that this is a fiction story, so awareness and it, you know, gives me a reason to do more research on it. The one thing that review did say was that the best representation she had seen of that disorder is Neil Shusterman's Challenger Deep. Apparently, it's kind of an own voice story because his son suffers from this. So it's kind of, you know, from that he saw his son kind of go through this thing. And
yeah, but
I have that book on the shelf. So
yeah, but then again, seeing it from an outside seeing it from an outside perspective is not exactly a true to
right.
So it's just one of those where it's just like, okay, well, you know, it's probably as real as you could get, but
the one thing that I kind of found funny though is like, I don't think in real life your hallucinations would help you solve crimes. That was the one thing. It's like she had a hallucination that led her exactly to what was going on in the thing. I don't think that would happen very often,
Right.
but that was definitely a plot device for the story.
Yeah.
Little Nancy Drew there.
Yeah.
I mean, this book was. It did a good job at confusing the crap out of me, because it's like, it was one of those where you're reading it, but you're questioning absolutely everything. And that gives you kind of the mental thought of like, this is what someone who does deal with these kind of issues do, because they have to question everything.
Right, yeah. And I went through and I read it going, well, did she actually see that? Did she not actually see that? How would that be if I couldn't trust what I saw? Mm-hmm. Can I trust what I see? Do I need to be worried about, and then me having my anxiety issues that I do have, I ended up finding that this was kind of detrimental to my mental health, because I had anxiety dreams every night while I was reading it, and I would wake up feeling anxious ridden and concerned about things. And I know that it had to do with this book, because a couple of days after I was done reading it, I felt better, But
Chris says the Magic 8 Ball was so useful.
It was.
Funny? It actually gave you the Magic 8 Ball gave you Magic 8 Ball answers, which are not helpful at all.
No. Well, and then to find out that the Magic 8 Ball wasn't real,
yeah,
that was crazy. Dude, that one, I guessed Charlie, but I didn't guess that one.
Yeah. See, I didn't guess Charlie. Chris guessed Charlie. I like I was saying, I was like, Charlie's so cute. She's so lovely. Charlie. Smush Charlie. And obviously that, I mean, thinking about the whole book and the way that Alex's mother responds to Alex and things, it opened up a lot more on the scale of how her mother must have been dealing and coping with things, because obviously Charlie died. So Charlie was a real baby, and she already has a child that is suffering from a mental disorder, and she's got that to deal with. They have another child, and then that child dies. Her partner is an archaeologist that's away all the time, and that must have been so hard on her mum. I mean, it's like you're reading the book from Alex's POV, and obviously Alex is like, she's only seeing the one side of it, because when you're a teenager, you are in your teenage bubble. You don't think about other people. And just having that revelation later on in the book, I was just like, damn, that is what I was like, yeah, I don't agree with some of the things that she said and done, but that is a freaking strong woman right there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous to have to do that kind of all by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot, how did Charlie die?
Asphyxia. So she would have probably choked on the chess piece.
Yeah, I think
that's right. That's right. Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
So I do like the fact that she brought it all together. I do think the mystery with McCoy and Celia's mum was a little bit out there, but for family, like, I did like that she brought all that together.
Yeah, I kind of could have done without the whole Celia McCoy scoreboard thing. And I think
the thing was just freaking weird.
Yeah, I think that's why it lost a star for me, because if it had just been for Alex and Miles and her dynamic and relationship with her parents and with the group that worked the sports offense, that would have been enough for me. And you could have had Celia being just, a rotten person and trying to make things hard on Alex, but the scoreboard murder, McCoy's trying to kill Miles thing.
Yeah.
That was a little bit far-fetched.
Yeah, it didn't seem necessary in
Yeah.
the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. Although I guess if McCoy never tried to kill Miles, then Miles would, that it was his dad that ended up him in the hospital, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I guess then Alex wouldn't have never ended in the hospital because she wouldn't have saved him by catching the scoreboard with her face.
Cat's here. Hi, Cat.
Hi.
Hello.
Are you talking about Made You Up? I love that book. Yes, we
are
are.
talking about that.
We are talking about that book. So feel free to join in and say your thoughts and feels on the book. Chris also says, well, it was never Celia. It was never Celia's mum. She was another hallucination.
But wasn't
Yes.
Celia's mom the one who got killed by the scoreboard in the first place?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
But it was it was really confusing because obviously Alex would see McCoy and Celia's mum Celia's mum having these conversations, and it's just
I mean, I guess what it might have been trying to do is because Alex had schizophrenia, and a lot of people think that people with schizophrenia are dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe it was trying to put her against somebody who was actually dangerous and present kind of like an opposing side to show that like not everybody is like the same in the same way. Like maybe that's what it was trying to do, but it was really, really far-fetched.
Yeah.
And it was like I felt like I was watching one of those like teen dramas on like TV or whatever. It's like this would never happen in real life.
Yeah. It felt kind of like, on the lines of like, the Pretty Little Liars. It's just like, really?
Yeah.
If you just freaking fess up, if you just straight up say something, everything would be fixed. But yeah, Kat saying, I don't read many books based around mental health, but this one had me hooked. It's been a while since I read it, and I'm still confused whether Miles was real or not. Yeah. I wasn't confused about whether Miles was real or not real. It was more of a case of, is he Blue Eyes? Is he not?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty Little Liars on LSD.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I figured Miles was real. I worried sometimes about when they started to have a relationship that was real, or not. And then at the end, when she left the hospital, I was like, well, maybe she's not actually leaving the hospital and he's not actually, or he hasn't come and visited her, that kind of thing. But
yeah. I mean, I liked jumping far to the end of the book. I did like how she actually was like, no, I'm gonna go get more help, because obviously with the realization that Charlie was a hallucination and had been a hallucination for pretty much most of her life, that she actually went somewhere and got more mental help. Sorry. No, go on.
I was going to say, it's just that says a lot, especially because she was working so hard all school year to keep herself out of a mental hospital.
I was pissed off that they didn't let her graduate, though, and she was there.
Yeah, no, I agree.
In, the soft cuffs and stuff.
Yeah. And that was the other thing that the scathing reviewer said. They don't put him in handcuffs. Okay.
Kat says, "Oh my god, the Charlie bit broke me."
Yeah.
Yeah. Not so much the realization of Charlie not being real, knowing that Charlie was a real child and she died when she was like 5.
Yeah.
That bit broke me.
Yeah. It would have almost been better if she'd never been born and was a complete figment of her imagination. And then when she's in the hospital and she's seeing bloody Miles and Charlie with her mouth full of chess pieces, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that would terrify me. They won't go away and they're just there. And
I liked the club.
Yeah.
I think the club people were good people, but everyone else, well, the club people and Tucker liked those guys.
Yeah.
Everyone else, absolute a-holes.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Just, I mean, it was like, oh sorry, I'm looking at my notes. It was like, seriously, what the fuck, jocks are a-holes. Just because the first time Cliff meeting Alex and just being like, well, you've got red hair and this is a school with our colours are green and all the rest of it, and just instantaneously picking on her because she's new and just
and not just picking on her, but like threatening to like shave her head and like dye her hair. Like that is almost the worst kind of bullying right away.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, maybe the world was really different when I was in high school, but I don't remember it being so blatant, the bullying. I know that there are people who get bullied terribly, but it just seemed like everybody that I went to school with was pretty much just average kids just trying to get through life,
Chris's point is like she was a Gryffindor in the Slytherin common room.
Yeah.
As a Slytherin, hey. But okay. Well, no. Well, I wasn't really bullied at school, but I did have my hair set on fire.
That's true. And Chris had his beard ripped out. You guys are like bad for hair. Seriously.
Yeah, but that wasn't even in school. That was just,
I know. That's even worse.
But yeah.
You have questions?
I'm just going through my notes. Oh, my back hurts.
People we want to slap?
Sure, if you want to go there right now.
Miles' dad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I hated him even more than Celia.
Yeah.
Because just the way he got his mom committed, for goodness sakes. I mean, that's crazy. And then just the way he treated Miles is just ridiculous. That's just not right. You can't do that to somebody. To another person at all, but then to be your own flesh and blood, that's just ridiculous.
Okay, Kat's like saying that she was bullied at school, things thrown at me, name calling, but it wasn't outright, sort of on the sly. That's usually how bullies work. They just hate bullies.
I think that was the problem. It's this, like, she already had this thing that she was struggling with, and then she was dropped into like the worst high school ever.
Yeah.
Had to deal with everything at the same time.
Yeah, bullies can get exaggerated in books, but then sometimes like we were saying earlier, there's always the exception to the rule. Sometimes bullies just go way above and beyond.
Well, yeah, obviously, because if they weren't doing that, going above and beyond, then there wouldn't be as many suicides as a result of bullying that we have. Oh, my child is driving me crazy. She just came in here a minute ago, and she's like, can I use Instagram? Can I get Instagram? Now she's texting me to ask about Snapchat. No, go. Children.
Children, yay. Chris wanted to slap Rhea. Understandable. The guy the girl that was with Cliff, that every year or so would sleep with a guy just to make him jealous, and she ended up sleeping with Tucker, which is just grim. I mean, I can't believe Tucker went there. I was like,
Well,
dude, seriously.
He's a teenage boy.
Well, yeah. And he also says that he found his dad, I'm guessing Miles's dad, to be a bit of a cookie cutter bad guy.
Yeah. He was.
Yeah, but it's like you don't really, even though he was kind of a cookie cutter bad guy, you never really see the extent of the abuse until after the fact. Like closer to the end, where obviously he's covered in bruises and things, because obviously Miles is having conversations with Alex saying that his dad's done these things and stuff, but it's like, as we've said, you question everything in the book,
right?
So whether that's actually true or not, that kind of thing.
I think the strength of this book is that the important characters have really like multifaceted personalities. Like there's so many layers to Alex and Miles and Alex's mother. Like we learn all about this, and it kind of, even Celia, who seems like the worst sort of person, you get a little bit of a reason why that's happening, and so you can't necessarily hate her as much as you initially would. But then all the other people in the background, they don't get that same kind of attention. So they just seem very like, I'm the stereotypical cheerleader who wants to cheat on my boyfriend. I'm the stereotypical jock who wants to beat up everyone who is sleeping with my girlfriend. I'm the stereotypical abusive father who is just a horrible person all around. We didn't really get quite the attention on those characters, and so they seem pretty flat.
Yeah.
Well, but one thing that... Go ahead.
I'm changing subjects a little bit, so go ahead.
Okay. Well, the thing is, it's like you can't really, with the book that touches on so many people, you can't really give them all backstory. So it's like, I get the whole one-dimensional thing, and it's one of those. It's the catch-22. It's one of those where it's like, do you really think these characters are important enough to give backstory to? And then also, some people are just dicks for no reason. Some people are just dicks.
Yeah.
Sorry. Let's call it like it is. Some people are just dicks.
One thing that I kind of liked, you have both Miles and Alex who are really going through more than the average person, adult, much less teenager. And they're having to go through it all on their own. Miles can't tell people about his dad. He can't tell people about his mom. He can't tell people why he was in Germany. He's kind of keep that all to himself. And then Alex can't tell people about her schizophrenia and even her parents, so she's got to keep that all to herself. And so they're forced to grow up and deal with so much at such a young age, and then they come and they learn that they can rely on each other, lean on each other a little bit, not to solve the other's problems, but just to get a little bit of support. And I think I liked that it was, obviously you have so many books that the one person is going through this, and then they meet the mate, and then that makes it all better. And it didn't happen with them. No. But they were able to lean on each other.
Yeah. Chris says, I call it Star Trek syndrome. Bridge crew surrounded by a bunch of red shirts.
There you go. Yeah.
Perfect. That's perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Perfect. Do we have any favorite lines or quotes from the book? Because one stands out to me. I actually laughed out loud for this and had to write it in my notes. I think it was one of the best lines ever.
What's that?
You interrogated her. What did you do? Threatened to take off her makeup and reveal her secret identity. talking about Celia, I was just like, that was just, it just made me chuckle so much. I loved it. You smell of lemons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think my favorite was, and I think this is a common phrase, but I'd never heard it before, and it made me laugh. I can't remember what happened, but Alex was reacting to it in the book, and she was like, "Jesus Christ, on a pogo stick!" And I was like, I need to adopt that into my common phrases.
I don't have a favorite line, but one of my favorite scenes is when she and Miles are together in her bed and they're naked, and she's like, "Oh, what does she say?" She's like, "Do you want to?" Oh, doggone it!
I like the fact that they didn't actually have sex.
Yeah.
I like that.
She's offering up, and he's like, "I think that if I can't do any more than this, actually," and he was like really open to her, and it's like, okay, this is. So they just laid there next to each other, and I liked that.
Yeah.
I enjoyed when they were at the bridge and she just got this like overwhelming need to kiss him, and she did it. And then a few scenes later, he's like, "I still can't figure out why that happened." It's like, "Oh, you're so cute.
Yeah.
I love you so much."
Oh.
I did feel bad about what they did to Tucker, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so he said that he deserved it.
Pardon?
He said that he. Oh, that's right. Because of Cliff. Cliff is the one that hired Miles to do it. That's right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's one of those where it's like, why are you doing this? And then obviously it comes out later on.
Right.
That
I mean,
Tucker slept with Rhea.
Arguably, being mildly uncomfortable at school for a few days was better than getting clocked in the face. So,
well, yeah, I was more pissed off that they killed her bike.
Yeah.
It's like as if you just saw someone's bike in half.
I love that her bike had like a name and like everything.
Yeah, what was it? Like Edgar? Eugene?
Ewan. Ewan. Oh. Not Erwin.
Erwin.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. I was like, Erwin. I already said Erwin. That was like, I'm shocked that someone cut Erwin in half. Not surprised though, because obviously the people that aren't in the club are dicks.
Right. Yeah.
But like, how do you do that without anybody noticing? Because that's a big job to cut a bike in half.
Well, the bike was in pretty bad shape, right? He was all rusty and everything.
I suppose. But like, you'd think someone would have noticed something.
Oh yeah.
Chris is like, I like the philosophical conversation about it being okay to pull a job on a random person, but not someone you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's one of those where it's like, I'd happily pull a prank on someone, but I don't think I would. I couldn't injure their genitalia. That's going a little bit too far prank-wise for me.
Well, I couldn't have been Miles. I couldn't even getting paid for done things to other people. Like, it's one thing for him to take $50 to be punched in the face, okay, but to go in, break into Tucker's house and do that, and the other things, yeah.
I know, but it was harsh. It was harsh to read about that anyway, because I mean, just Miles having to like put himself in those situations to actually have money, is just a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, especially for what he wanted that money for.
Chris says it only takes a few minutes to chop through a bike frame with a hacksaw.
Well, there you go.
Oh,
okay. And Chris would know because
this is clearly something I have
Chris is a sociopath. Clearly,
stay away from my bike, dude.
Yeah, did we have any dislikes on the book? Was there anything that like stood out where it was just like, no, don't like it?
Well, yeah, like what Brandy said about the Nancy Drew schizophrenic episodes, a little bit unnecessary. I mean, I realize why they're there, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it a little bit more. The really weird situation with McCoy, or what was his name? McCoy. McCoy. Oh, yeah. The really weird situation with him, and how it was a part of the story, but I don't think it was a big enough part to be important. And it just, every time it got into that part of the plot line, I wasn't really that interested anymore.
How did he become a principal?
Yeah.
He's that screwed up.
He's like an award-winning principal too.
Yeah.
Well, like, it's only like those things. It's like you never know what happens behind closed doors.
I guess so.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you never really know somebody until, everything gets laid bare.
Yeah.
Chris says, by the same token, Miles didn't understand the emotional impact of the jobs he was pulling.
That's true. And that leads into the whole Asperger's thing, yeah.
Yeah. And I actually wrote down, like, when he said, like, do you know what alexithymia is? Without words for emotions, the higher your score, the more trouble you have with interpreting emotions. It's like, I had a whole question around that, and now I've totally forgotten what my question was.
He did say that he eventually felt bad for what he was doing. It just took him a long time, because she called him out about being a jerk that one conversation. Mm-hmm. He's like, well, I do feel bad, but not right away.
Yeah.
But at that point, his dignity, like he would do anything to get the money. His dignity went right out the window near the end of the book.
Mm. Back to the McCoy thing, Chris says the McCoy situation, calling Celia into the office almost every day, would have been picked up by another member of staff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the kids figured it out.
Yeah.
But again, this is a piece of fiction. It's sensationalized.
Yes, we know. But it was also, it was really a strange place to take that, though. I mean, you get the revelation that Alex has been seeing Celia's mum, and Celia's mum is Scarlett, the girl who died from the scoreboard falling. That's like revelation like number one. And then we have the revelation that McCoy's been abusing Celia because of who her mum was, and that's the reason why Celia was the way she was. It was just like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think one of my problems with this book is, if you're going to be talking about mental illness and like struggles that teens are going through, mm-hmm. It didn't portray like a lot of things that people want teenagers in particular to do, is like talk to adults about it. Don't just go through it on their own. But mm-hmm. This book didn't present the adults in a very positive light. And with the exception of maybe Alex's father, none of the adults are really someone you would want to go to with a problem.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is kind of problematic if you're trying to relate to people who are going through similar things like this.
Yeah. Even the one teacher who's mentioned besides McCoy, the one who's like a drill sergeant, he's not obviously approachable. So
no. Yeah. Chris says that McCoy is Littlefinger.
Sorry.
I can see that, actually.
Game of Thrones reference.
That's going to be the face I put on him now when
I
think about that. Oh.
Grim. I absolutely loved the fact that the snake was real. I was so happy. Like, the snake was real. And I liked how she was just like, yeah, shut up, snake. That's not really happening. And then the entire class is like, wait, don't move. She's like, what?
Well, that's how many times, because she saw the snake a few times before that time. Was it
Yeah.
always the real snake, or was it not the real snake? It must have always been the real snake. That's what I'm accepting in my head. And she just like, I'm going to walk under you and not even care.
Yeah. She just assumed, because it couldn't be real, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of, it shows how difficult it must be to deal with that, because something that you logically can say, the chances of there being a snake in the ducts of a school is very minimal, so this obviously must be fake, but my little sister, that must be real. And
Yeah.
Do you guys agree with
No.
her parents' decision not to tell her?
No.
I think they should have tried at least, like, every year, or, tried to bring it up or broach the situation, because obviously when it initially happened, she was just like, no, I'm not accepting this, which you can understand.
Yeah.
But then to have this thing constantly continue, I did not agree with that. I think they should have tried broaching the subject of Charlie not being real at least once a year.
Yeah. Well, and I agree, because they made the point where, like, they didn't want, because Charlie would always be the one to comfort her when something was happening, and they made the point that they didn't want to take that away from her. But then when she finally found out, it was just like, this was a huge part of her life since she had her illness, and then it just got yanked from her. So even though she wasn't really there, it's like she died all over again, and she had to deal with that on top of everything else she was dealing with, right?
That's a good point. It was a bad moment to kind of learn that your sister is not real.
Chris has put, Alex can deal with things she knows aren't real, like the phoenix. Huh?
There was a phoenix sitting on a wall, I think, at one point.
The phoenix that she sees all the time.
Yeah. That she sees all the time, that's mentioned, what, 3 times?
I don't know, it's like 4 or 5 times, I think. But she always knows that it's not real. It's the Hartford Phoenix, or whatever town she lives in.
But, a phoenix is a mythical creature.
Yes.
They never actually said whether the men on the roof were real or not. I'm fairly certain they weren't, but they never specified.
Yeah. Pretty sure they weren't real.
I also, when they go to visit Alex, Miles's mum, that must have been terrifying for Alex. Just like, she knows that she has paranoid schizophrenia, and she's actually willingly going into a mental hospital. And it's like, I don't know if I could have done that.
Well, and then finding out that the name of the place is something completely different.
Yeah.
What did she think it was called?
Crimson Falls.
That's right. Yeah.
That I kind of wondered whether that tied into her, as you said, the Nancy Drew situation that she had going on, because there was her hallucination about Miles with the bloody face, which could have related to the sign falling on him, as it should have if she wouldn't have pushed him out of the way. And there was Crimson Falls as well. Those ones is like, I don't know how I feel about these particular ones, because it does lead into I'm using this to solve a mystery kind of situation, which
yeah.
Well, Chris is saying, I'd like to think that the president's kid was at the school and the men on the roof were Secret Service agents.
Yes.
And real.
I will accept that.
Fair enough. One thing I didn't like about the book was the constant children calling Miles Nazi. I'm like, no, Nazi is not a nickname. It's not.
No.
It's not a thing. It's like you shouldn't call anyone a Nazi. Just no.
Or like when they made him dress up like one.
Yeah. Just no.
Is that why he dressed up like one?
Yeah, I think they paid him to do that.
Oh.
And then Alex like, no, you're not doing this, and go change.
And that's when he got pushed into the pool.
Yeah.
I missed that.
What else? How did this book affect you? Like, how did it make you feel?
I already told you. I had anxiety dreams.
Me personally, it didn't really affect me on that much of a level, but like I said before with you, I can compartmentalize and just be like, okay, well, this is obviously a work of fiction, so I can make sure that there's the barrier between me and the book.
I struggle with empathy, and so I end up feeling. All too often, I end up feeling what the people in the books or the movies are feeling. Not all the time, but enough.
Well, I've got a swinging brick for a hat, so I'm fine.
I really enjoyed the relationship between Miles and Alex. I really liked watching that grow, and I liked how it started with the love-hate relationship when they went back and forth pulling pranks on each other and stuff, and then I liked watching it grow so that they were so important to the other person and dealing with their own issues. But I mean, I've told you all the problems I've had with it as well, so that was kind of always around the perimeter of me reading it. So I enjoyed the central part of it, but I mean, I had my problems with it too.
Yeah, I mean, I was annoyed that she didn't confide in Tucker. I was like, he's a good guy. It's, he seems like a decent guy that would just be like, okay, yeah, fair enough. And guess what? He was.
Right, yeah.
I think sometimes it would be hard because I feel like she probably wouldn't have said anything to Miles if she didn't find out about Miles's mother. Because it's a lot easier to talk to somebody that kind of gets what you're going through.
Yeah.
And Tucker
Miles figured it out before she found out about his mom.
Yeah.
She had a breakdown. It's kind of hard not to let people know when you're.
Chris is saying that it made my throat sore. I'm sorry.
So everybody should know that Paula forced Chris to read this out loud to her. That's why his throat was sore.
I didn't force him to read it out loud to me. I couldn't concentrate on reading the book because I was getting kicked by a baby.
Oh, sure. Blame it all on the poor little innocent child in your belly.
Yeah. It's the reason why you have kids, to blame things on them and for manual labor. Hello.
Basically.
Chris says, I think if she confided in Tucker, it would have felt like a girl between two guys cliche. Yeah, I see that too.
Fair point.
Yeah.
I liked that there wasn't a triangle.
Right.
I mean, it felt like it could have happened at any point, but I liked the fact that there wasn't one.
Yeah.
I also liked that she made a Die Hard reference. And she's like, what do you want me to do, John McClane down the door? I was like, oh, Die Hard reference. Kudos. So, what do we know about the author?
Nothing, but Ron thinks that her name is fake. Because I don't know if you guys are familiar with the musician Frank Zappa.
Uh-huh.
So he's like, Francesca Zappia? Yeah, right.
And you didn't do a Wikipedia search?
I did a quick search, and I didn't see anything that showed that it wasn't her real name. So
Okay.
maybe her parents were just fans.
Okay.
I know she's got a new book coming out.
Yeah.
Eliza and Her Monsters, and I want to read it.
Apparently, she's John Green's new favorite author. That's
Oh, is she?
literally the only. No, that was written in 2015, so she's not his new favorite author. But at one point, she was. And that was when I looked her up yesterday, and that was the first article that popped up. I didn't read it, but there we go.
There you
I
go.
should probably read things
See,
before I bring
even
them
though
up.
I love John Green and I love Hank Green, personally for me, I think his books are overrated. I mean, I love the guy, I love the man, but I've not really connected with his books like a lot of other people have. So
I've read them all. I've enjoyed them all.
I've enjoyed like two.
He's good at like capturing that feeling of being a teenager. Like, you're young, so you gotta like have all these adventures, live your life to the fullest, and it makes you want to just like, yeah, I want to go on adventures. But like, they're like, yeah, they're good. I've enjoyed them, but they're not like the greatest things.
Yeah, all of his characters are too witty and mature, and I get that, but I enjoy reading them anyway.
According to the back of the book, she started writing this book when she was 8 years old.
Say what now?
In the little
No, I
thing
heard
right
you.
in the back cover, yeah.
Started writing this book when she was 8 years old.
Damn.
That took a long time.
Well, she's still got it finished. She's closer than George R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are we gonna get any more books?
I don't even read the books. I'm like, I'm fine with this TV show.
Well, the TV shows have passed the books now, so
Yeah.
like.
What Chris is saying, that's a misquote. That's that she started writing at 8 years old. Okay.
How does he know? Was he there?
I don't know.
It looks like, so that my book has a little excerpt from Eliza and Her Monsters, and it looks like it's got mixed media. So there's this and that. So I'm interested. I love mixed media in books.
Oh, I see. Oh, it also said on the back that she draws her own characters, so that might even be her drawing.
Oh.
See, I just have the original, the hardcover copy, so obviously my books is not as good as everyone else's.
Of course.
Obviously. Just seeing if there's any other questions that anyone is wanting to throw out there. Any other thoughts or feelings people are wanting to talk about?
No, I think we went over pretty much everything.
I know, but other people might not have got their. You know, there are other people.
No, there's only me.
Would we recommend it to a friend?
Definitely. But
Yes.
I would recommend it with a disclaimer saying this is probably going to be bad for your mental health.
I would recommend it to a friend, but I'd have to give them a little bit of a rundown first. Chris is talking about Red Witch Bridge. I liked the Red Witch Bridge.
Oh yeah.
The fact that she was the actual witch.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. What did you think of taking on the persona? The persona of what? Oh, the witch persona. I think it was cool because it's like there was this space where she could go, and even though it was spooky for everyone else, it was a safe space for her.
It
I
also
think that
showed how. Oh, sorry. No, it also showed how the information spread in their town or whatever, because literally some stoners heard her screaming, and then all of a sudden it was this urban legend and stuff. And it just shows you can't keep secrets there.
No.
Mm-mm. I was a little bit confused as to how Celia managed to get out the fact that Alex was schizophrenic, and also about Miles's mum. I think okay, that came.
Didn't Miles make the point that she might have got it from McCoy because he would have all of the records?
But it was never really proven. It was more of a posed question.
True.
Okay, do we learn anything from the book? What's our takeaway from the book? Do we get anything specific out of the book?
I'm glad that I don't have paranoid schizophrenia.
It's really important to have the appropriate supports if you are struggling with anything.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And find the people who will help you. That's what I take away.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris has just put lobsters aren't red.
Lobsters are red.
They are when they're cooked, and they're very, very tasty.
See, the funny thing is because I don't know much about lobsters. I've never actually seen a lobster when it wasn't cooked, so that didn't even faze me. And then when she's like, "Oh, lobsters aren't red before they're cooked," I'm like, "What?"
You're strange. How can you not know?
I worked for Red Lobster when I was a teenager, so we had the live lobsters in the tank.
Oh, I see, and I feel like because we have a Red Lobster here, and I feel like I've seen the lobsters, but it just didn't clue that they weren't. I didn't really pick up on a color.
That's what lobsters look like.
Yeah, they're kind of the color of poop.
Yeah.
Maybe the fact that she saw the lobsters as being red kind of connected the lobsters to her hair and to herself, and she needed to escape.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't have anything else to say on this book. I mean, the takeaway from this is I'm glad that this book exists, and that it can open a lot of doors for just wanting to learn more about a specific or a certain subject. But yeah.
My last note for is if you are struggling with anything like this, please tell a parent or a teacher. Don't go through it alone. Don't let this book turn you away from doing that, because that's very important.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, always find someone that you trust, but never suffer in silence about anything.
You shouldn't have to go through any of that alone.
No. Well, that got real pretty quickly.
Okay. So, next month's book.
None of us have it.
I know, but we know what it is.
Yes, we do. So, yeah, we should have actually talked about this beforehand, but never mind. So, yeah, next month's book is going to be this one.
It's invisible.
It's going to be really hard to read that way.
Yeah. We will be reading Our Dark Duet, the second book. It's still a duology, right?
I think so.
As far as I know.
To the second book to This Savage Song.
The Savage Song.
What is the group, the series name together?
The Monsters
You
of
have one?
Verity.
Yeah,
Men's
the Monsters of
Verity,
Verity.
yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Because we read the first one as a group, and we were all just like, I don't care what happens. When the next book comes out, we are reading that book. And
And
is
it comes out
on the
June
13th.
13th. Yeah. So next Tuesday. And I have pre-ordered it, and it should come to my door.
I'm right there with you. I'm so excited.
I am thinking about whether or not I need to go back and reread This Savage Song.
Oh,
so that
the
I
horror of
remember.
reading a great book again. Oh,
I know. I gotta make sure I have it. I loaned it to my mom. I'm hoping she brought it back.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's in California.
We'll get her to mail that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will be reading the not the Savage Song, a Dark Duet.
Yes.
Obviously, all information about that will be in the Goodreads group. Links in the information box down below. When I actually have the book, I will be able to section it up and we can chat about it that way. And obviously, we will have the dates for the live show when that's coming up.
Right.
And
And then
then we will probably be taking a break from book
yes,
clubbing.
because Brandy and I are not able to do live shows without Paula.
See, I said that they can continue without me, but they don't want to.
You're like the heart and soul of the whole operation.
Yes.
I'm not the heart and soul. I'm the tech person.
That too.
That's right.
Don't make my job out to be more than it is. It's like I handle the tech thing. Oh, Chris has just put. Just think, it's great. We've been talking about is all we've been talking about is a book full of hallucinations, and Paula holds up a book. Ta-da!
There you go.
I like bringing things full circle, you know.
Yeah.
It's all good. The book does exist. It's just not released yet. And obviously, none of us have advanced reader copies because we're not famous.
We're not cool. Yeah.
So yeah. Back to the whole taking a break, because obviously, I'm going to be having a baby. Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
And it's going to take me like a little while to get used to that, because I've not done this before. And it's scary. So we will be taking a break from the book club because Christy and Brandy don't want to do it without me.
We're incapable.
Which is nice. I mean, I've told them that I can teach them the tech stuff, but they're just like, no.
Well, really, and think about it. There's been a few times when we've had to do it without Brandy and when you've had to do it without me, and it's just not as much fun, honestly. So.
Okay. But as soon as I get my shit together, we will be starting up the book club. So I'll probably take a month off, maybe 2. We will have to see.
Okay. We'll put up a poll.
But obviously,
we'll put up a poll for the next book when you kind of feel like you're getting ready to get back on, then we'll put the poll on.
Yeah. I mean, the group will still be open, so feel free to pop on the Goodreads group, and talk to each other. Stuff. So yeah, I think that's everything for today. Unless anyone else has anything else to say. No?
No,
No.
I think not.
I think not. I think everyone's just like, okay, we're done now.
Yep.
Okay, well, this has been fun. Good live show, guys. Yay.
Yay!
And we will see you next time when we will be talking about our dark duet.
I'll talk to it.
I'm so excited.
Okay, see you later. Bye.
All right, bye.
Bye.